everyone, I'm Ash Baudelaire, she, her, and I am the co-artistic director, playwright, and dramaturg of House of Bones Theater Company.
And I'm Matthew Cooperberg, they, them, the co-artistic director and theatrical director. And together, we're building an entirely new Gothic theatrical universe for the streaming generation, capitalizing on the trend towards niche content on digital platforms.
Humans are wired for sharing stories, and the most powerful narratives aren't just told, they're performed. Theater is a magical form of storytelling, but it's often inexpensive, so most people watch pro shots instead. Now, a pro shot is what happens when a show films its product for digital distribution. Think Hamilton on Disney+. But those recordings are more about preservation than innovation, and they're incredibly expensive. Hamilton cost Disney $75 million.
Theater, especially Broadway, is also increasingly financially and geographically inaccessible for audiences. This is a map of theater stages across the US. As you can see, most are in the Northeast or on the West Coast. Sure, there are some in the middle, but with vast swaths of the country still left unreasonably far from anywhere they could go to enjoy live theater. So most audiences turn to slime tutorials instead. This is the coded name that people use to upload bootleg Broadway recordings to YouTube. And these videos rack up millions of views. Why? Because fans are so desperate to see theater that they'll watch grainy, illegally filmed versions shot from the audience just to get access. That's why we created House of Bones, to innovate a new kind of virtual theater.
House of Bones is our digital media company with 16 original shows ready for production. Today's audiences want content that's strange, irreverent, and built for the digital world. And we're capitalizing on that niche market to create theater that isn't live, it's undead. Our flagship product, our undead plays, are at the heart of our company. Each of our undead plays are a standalone horror tragicomedy set in the interconnected universe of House of Bones, with accompanying lore puzzles that bring audiences further into the world. Each undead play is also a disruptive new format for virtual theater. Shot in a ghostly single point of view, it brings audiences out of their seats and onto the stage. Now, from a business standpoint, each undead play is also a vehicle for expansion. Because House of Bones owns the IP, we're able to scale up our product to include merchandising, to include radio plays, and live immersive tours, and more. That is what makes House of Bones so unique, is this innovative format. We are making something really weird, we know that, but our audiences love it.
A comparable market case study is Wednesday on Netflix. This show is a Gothic cultural sensation from the beloved Addams Family IP and became the most watched English language show on the platform. Its success highlights the potential for our undead plays to create unique, episodic horror tragicomedies set within a broader interconnected universe, both engaging digital native audiences and Gothic aestheticists alike. Our audience is smart, subversive, and aesthetically adventurous. And while this audience is massively engaged, they are underserved. And we've already seen what happens when you give them something new. When we launched our teaser content for House of Bones, we gained over 7,000 views in our first week. Our universe is built to cater to these fans with diverse, often overlapping interests. Whether you're into Gothic aesthetics, headbanging to metal, or you're into puppet monsters that represent sociological issues. Our horror tragicomedies have a story for you whenever you're ready to dive in.
And that's because we're not competing in the traditional theater market. We are thriving in the attention economy by meeting audiences where they are on YouTube. Let's take a look at the structure of an undead play. So each undead play delivers up to 3 hours of original content, and they are split into hour-long episodes that you can stop and start at your convenience, along with our flexible payment methods, because you can do $2 per episode or $5 per show. So that keeps our work accessible while also, revolutionizing how we're going to take in a diversification of revenue. And we go beyond the play, because we also have a separate credit episode that goes behind the scenes into the making of the creative process. That means that our shows aren't just entertainment, they are a marketing asset. Sustainability, it's in our bones. Let's talk about our timeline. So in phase one, fall 2025, we are doing a fully funded minimal viable production, Graveyard Shift, and this will be done with Princeton's Lewis Center for the Arts. We then move into phase two in fall 2027, where we launch our first undead play, Ghoul Drool, as well as launch some of those interactive puzzles and bring about our flexible payment methods. And finally, we have phase three in fall 2028, where we launch our second undead play, That's When We Were Gods, and we upload and launch our YouTube channel membership for $10 a month. This gives our fans access to all of the shows, all of the credit episodes, and all of those interactive lore puzzles.
What makes our model so powerful is that we keep our fixed operating costs low with high variable costs for each undead play. We're lean by design, but our shows are ambitious. Each undead play costs around $1 million to make in total, far less than Netflix's average of $13 million per episode. And this includes development, rehearsal, filming, union pay, post-production, and digital distribution. We make our product at a fraction of the cost, while still delivering a Broadway caliber viewing experience. And we're conservatively estimating to take in around $2 million by the end of our phase two, generated through our $5 show bundle for Ghoul Drool on YouTube. And this is after YouTube's 30% cut off the top. The best way to see how something like this could scale is by looking at something similar. If we were able to reach just 1% of Wednesday's 252.1 million viewers during our phase two, our revenue would skyrocket to $9 million. Even if that 1% just bought the first episode for $2, our revenue would still be $3.5 million. And that's still just a fraction of the revenue we stand to generate annually, as neither projection includes our phase three channel membership revenue, nor the upside from licensing or merchandising opportunities, which could scale with audience growth. We are strategically claiming a slice of the multi-billion-dollar immersive entertainment ecosystem. We're targeting a small, passionate, culturally influential corner of it, and our early traction proves that we can reach them.
House of Bones isn't just a theater company, it is an entire theatrical universe. We invite you to watch our minimum viable production, Graveyard Shift, when it hits YouTube on November 22nd, and we look forward to bringing you virtual theater from our house to your home. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm John Heitz. I'm the administrator for House of Bones.
Good job. Hello.
I'd like to watch the first episode as soon as possible. It's a very, very enticing presentation, I must say. I love the undead, and I want to be there with you guys right away. You're creating a creative product. It requires a lot of things, everything from, you can see it's strong serialized writing to memeable visuals of all varieties to immense communities around it. You've got 10 other things to do as well. So the basic question relates to who's going to do that and how are you going to get that done? What have people done before? Has it been creatively successful, third-party evaluated? Has it been commercially successful? Are they doing something a little bit like what they did before? And, well, when will it come?
Thank you so much for that question. I'll go with starting to talk about our competitors, which is that no one is doing what House of Bones is doing. There are people who have niche branch offs. Pro shops are definitely something that have been done before. Escape rooms and those interactive lore puzzles, building out online have been done before, but there's not quite an intersection, especially in that Gothic realm. So we would be innovating in that capacity, but in terms of looking for inspiration, we would be looking at something like the National Theatre Live, who puts their shows up and then have different social media capacities of interaction. We would also be looking at Mischief Theater, which has an interactive universe that all their shows are based in, but it's not to the same level of House of Bones where there's a narrative drop-in. And then also we would be looking at Punch Drunk for those immersive walkthrough style shows.
And in addition to that, there's also the YouTube channel and company Spindle Force, which did a similar kind of thing to what we're doing, where they posted a pilot of 2 of their shows on YouTube for free, and now they've been picked up by, I believe, Amazon for huge deals.
And in speaking to the job description part of it, so as a non-traditional student, I come with a decade of experience in the theater. So before I was at Princeton, I was working in escape rooms, and I was using the escape rooms to fund my career living in New York City as an artist. So coming with fiscal and creative development responsibilities from Ars Nova off Broadway, which is where I was before I came to Princeton, that is where we'll be tapping into the networks we have, both in New York and our capacity as the playwright and director to lead the charge on the artistic and business front.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
So it's very, very cool and scary how much work you have to do.
Yes.
Couldn't pass that up. But so in terms of people understanding what you're doing and getting the message out there in a way that I guess influencers and people like this probably have to capture, right, to actually scale that messaging. How are you thinking about that?
So from a marketing standpoint, we're thinking of each of our social media as a way to interact with a specific type of character. So our Instagram, which trends better with like grids and carousels, those are characters that you saw in the trailer. We're very still and eerie and ornate. Whereas characters like the Coryphaeus, who take over our TikTok, they're irreverent. They can come up with memes, they're witty, they can capitalize on trend to keep us both social media relevant, but also connected to our universe.
I think you addressed that.
Where will you go to get the initial funding so that what you'll have is the money to bring your creative vision to life? Is there someone that, or some places where you think you can go and get that type of runway?
So our pilot show, Graveyard Shift, is being fully produced and funded by Princeton's Lewis Center for the Arts. And so that's our pilot show, and that'll be uploaded onto YouTube for free. That QR code will take you to our YouTube page. Beyond that, we're also looking, hopefully, to get arts grants from various organizations, as well as we've been thinking about starting a Kickstarter once we're closer to that point.
Because we're exploring both a hybrid model between nonprofit and then an LLC for each show, it gives us the opportunity to do fiscal revenue through traditional investing so that investors can get their return through the LLC. But we could also apply for those arts grants on a nonprofit status for House of Bones, the world. So we're open to exploring all the different ways we can generate revenue.
And another question I'd like to ask, where do you think you can find other creative and talented writers who would want to be a part of your theater? I mean, you guys are obviously creative powerhouses, but there must be other people that would be into this.
Yeah, we've already started going to expos. We went to the New Jersey Film Expo in, what was it, May, I believe? And we're also using our networks at Princeton. Our director of the program is now a Tony Award-winning lighting designer. And there are many other very talented people in the program that we're hoping to use their networks and get their advice on where we could go to find more people that would be interested in joining us on our pursuit.
And because the theater community, most people are hopping from project to project. They're trying to hop on as many worlds as possible. And what's great about Matthew and I being the director and the playwright is that we can truly center in on the narrative structure, make sure that's tight, and then we could also start bringing in really cool escape room people. So we could franchise out and do like an in-world escape room. I know that Netflix is doing a pop-up immersive world at some locations where you can walk through their shows. That is something House of Bones would be perfect for. So we're always thinking about different designers, actors, creatives. What's beautiful about the theater world is that we are all friendly competition. Other good shows mean they want to come see our cool show. So everyone's keen to help out.
And everywhere that we've gone, and everyone that we've gone to and pitched this idea, at least the artists have wanted to join us and either watch our stuff or be involved themselves.
That's really cool.
Everyone loves a pioneer, and we are going to be not the second Tim Burton or the second Broadway. We are the first House of Bones.
Nice. And one more question, which is how are you able to produce and do all of this for such a discounted rate versus what Netflix? So $1 million versus $13 million, right?
A lot of that comes with when you're shooting something like Netflix, you have to be on site. You have multiple extras. We're not actually shooting in a theater. We're shooting on a soundstage and then using AI and green screening in certain elements. Also, it helps that the characters who play our background people are meant to be still. So that's a mannequin budget. That is not a live actor budget. So that really does help.
Yeah, and that because we're shooting on one soundstage and that soundstage will look like a stage, we don't have all the location budgets. Also, and I've checked this, if we run under a SAG-AFTRA contract for our actors, we would classify as, I believe, a new media category C, which allows us to have lower fees, basically.
Because a lot of what makes running a Broadway pro shot so expensive is that you have to deal with the actors union, and there are absorbent fees that you have to pay to put something on screen. A lot of that $75 million was also distribution fees, not like the actual shooting of the show. It's especially because we're doing an immersive world where there's one camera, so we're not setting up multiple shots. We can do things with more of a lean GoPro. It gives us a lot more opportunity to focus on the design elements to capture and compete with that Broadway style.
And it also shortens the filming time frame.
Yeah, because we rehearse it like a play, we film it like a movie, and then we distribute it like a limited series. Yeah. Thank you all so much.